Hello everyone and welcome. This is Christine with Powder Crafts, and today I'm here with a design team project for Scrapping for Less. I'm making a Christmas card using the Winter Fairies stamp set. So we've got two little fairies here. There are some sentiments in the stamp set. This little string to create some lights. We have a snowflake. That little circle down there, that's a half circle, that's lights for the string. And we also have the two trees. I'm also using a Sweet Christmas paper pad. I love the designs in this paper pad, so cute, and I just love all of them, but we are not going to be able to use them all on my card today, but I wanted you to be able to see all the patterns that are in the paper pad. So we are going to start by cutting our main panel here. We'll be using this striped paper right here on top. So we're going to go ahead and trim that down to 4 by 5 1/4. And I do have this only at 2 times speed, so I apologize if it seems not as sped up. But since I was showing the pattern paper, I wanted to go a little bit slower so those that were interested in the paper pad could actually get a good look at those patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this piece down. I should not have videos on while I'm trimming. I was watching a show on Netflix and I got a little distracted, but hey, I cut that one too long and not too short, so I was pretty happy about that. I'm also grabbing this bow paper and I am going to trim down a small piece of pattern paper from this, but you won't see it on the card because I end up changing courses. I end up trimming this too small. How I imagined the card in my mind is not how it turned out. I mean, mostly it did, but you know how sometimes when you start putting the card together, you might change your mind about certain things, and using this little strip is one of those, instances. So I've gone ahead and grabbed some red hot cardstock. This is 100-pound cardstock. I've cut that down to an A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we'll be using that as a mat for this pattern paper. I'll also be using the other piece that I had trimmed down. Instead of using it as a card base, I will be using it to mat my other pieces of pattern paper. I did decide to purchase the packs for this reason because I want my mats and my cardstock to match exactly. And even though I do have some 60-pound cardstock from a big box store, it doesn't always match. So recently I just gone ahead and picked up a pack of the cardstock. Usually my colored cardstock is stuff that I get in card kits that I don't finish using. I don't tend to usually buy the packs, but I decided to do that recently. I just want to try out the holidays and see if it's something that I like. I will use that 60-pound cardstock at some point, but it wasn't serving the exact use I wanted to use it for. It's just like one of those things that when you first get into crafting, you think you need all this stuff and you buy stuff and then you realize you don't use it, and then as you evolve as a crafter, you still don't really use it. And that's kind of how I feel. Like I have this stuff, I want to be able to use it, but then when I use it, it just doesn't serve the same kind of purpose that it did when I first bought it. Anyway, I digress. So moving on to my card. So the stamp set doesn't really have any Christmas sentiments. So I grabbed the Christmas sentiment stamp set from Scrapping for Less, and I'm going to use that Christmas. So I thought it'd be really fun to use the sentiment Fairy Christmas. So I took the fairy sentiment from the Winter Fairies stamp set and am going to add it with the Christmas sentiment from this Christmas sentiment stamp set. It's a lot of S words. Anyway, I'm just using some black ink to go ahead. I kind of debated between the red ink that I had or the black ink, and I did stamp it out with the red first, and I just didn't think it was dark enough of a red color. So we're gonna go with the black ink. I have a little banner here cut from some white cardstock, and we'll go ahead and we're gonna add that to the bottom of the card. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything because for whatever reason I thought I had adhered everything except for the fairy because clearly she's not colored in yet, so she was not attached. You know, one of those things where when you're watching, you know, TV and crafting at the same time, sometimes you just are in your own little world. Anyway, let's go ahead and color in this sweet little fairy. So I am using mostly just 2 of each color. I don't want to do a ton of blending because the cardstock that I am using for coloring, especially with reds, it really tends to bleed. I do get some bleeding on her dress because that's where I'm like, oh, I'm going to use 3 colors because it's a bigger area. Bad idea. I should have just stuck with the 2 colors because her hat and her shoes didn't bleed, but her dress will. And I try to cover that up, and you'll see that here, but let's just move on. So again, for the moon, we're just using 2 colors of yellow. I'm using the Y15, and I'll bring in the Y11. We'll go ahead, just make it a little darker around her and right at the very ends of the moon, and then I'm just using the Y11 to blend out the darker color a little bit and finish filling in the rest of the white space for the moon. Then we will go ahead and grab some cool grays. So I've got C3 here, and we're just going to do the little rim on her hat and her pom-pom, and the C1. I like using the cool grays for things like this. I like to use the warm grays when it's things like beards. I'm using the B000 for this cloud and B00. So use the B000 for the entire thing, and then just where that little line is, use the B00. So here we're going to bring in some green for her wings. I debated if I wanted her dress to be green or the wings, but I opted for the wings because I was like, well, if I do her dress green, I really can't do the wings red. So we're going to give her some green wings here. And I did use 3 of the greens here. I used the G24 for just kind of around the outside of those wings. And then I used the, I think it was a G, I didn't even see it here in the video, I'm sorry. It's like a G09 or something along those lines. I'm really sorry. I hope you saw it in the video, but I totally missed it. And I used the YG00 for those. We're going to go ahead and now color in her skin before I do her dress because I was afraid that if I didn't and then I went to color in her skin, I would, you know, create more bleeding with the red and it would go into her face, and I didn't want that. So we're going to go ahead and finish up her skin tones, and then lastly we're going to do her dress, but not before we do her couple of strands of hair. Her hair is just got a couple strands and it's really thin, so just use the 1 color for the E08. I was hoping to kind of get a different shade of red for her dress. I didn't want it to match 100% to her hat, but I don't think I have enough variations in Copic colors to really make a distinct difference and still have it look red. So even though I'm trying here with the different colors, it didn't work out and it caused some bleeding. So if I do this again, I'm just gonna stick with the same colors and maybe just do the 2, especially because it bled there. You can kind of see that between her dress and the moon. Trying to use the yellow marker to kind of push some of that red back, and I don't feel like it really did a great job. So this is where I'm going to just bring in some Yellow Bird Nouveau glitter drops. we'll add that to the moon and try to hide some of that red onto the moon. So on the inside of the card, I have added just a white mat, and I decided to add a little bit of decoration. I'm going to add these little trees. I've been giving a lot of my cards away to people locally for their own personal use or for other uses, and somebody had reached out that they were looking for some Christmas cards and some Valentine cards. This person sends them out to people in nursing homes. So I didn't want to do too much on the inside because I'm not sure if she writes a note to them. It's just something I literally just was contacted about not too long ago. She is a friend of a friend, and I want to be able to provide her with as many cards as I can. I don't know if there's any rules, so it's something I have to check with, like, you know, I don't tend to use glitter other than this sort of thing, so I think it'll be okay. But I am going off on something that doesn't even. Anyway, so I might not decorate the insides too much because if this woman can use them, I want her to be able to write a note if that's what she does. So going ahead and trying to cover up that red by adding Nuvo glitter drops to the entire moon. Again, they're in the color Yellow Bird. And then I decided to bring some in for her hat. So I'm using the White Blizzard, which is basically a clear glitter. And it's so pretty. It's one of my favorite Nuvo drops. And if you've watched my videos, you know that. So thank you so very much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more and you're not already, please hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell if you'd like to know the next time I upload a video. Have a wonderful week. Take care. Bye.